we're looking at, about 15 minutes already. That's okay. Howdy, folks. My name's Dave. I'm a woodturner. It's nice to be back in the studio. I've been out, well, it's just been too darn cold to be out here. So I got to spend some time earlier today getting some new equipment set up, trying working out some bugs. So there will be maybe some of that while the broadcast is happening, but hopefully not. One of the things that I do need to pay attention now is that I no longer have text to speech working. I'm still trying to troubleshoot that. So that means I've got to pay attention to chat. So I will do my best. But anyway, thanks for joining me. It is nice to be back. It's finally uh, just warm enough to be out here, and I'm hoping also we'll see about. Oh, excuse me. There we go. Yeah, like that. So let's see. I think I have. Pretty sure I've got the audio bug worked. At least the microphone bug worked out. Let's have some feedback here. Okay, test test. Okay, test test. That's working. All right, cool. So I'm working on. Oh, come on, close. Working with Linux system here, new for me. So I'm learning how that works too. This is an upgrade from the last computer. Hopefully, it's enough of an upgrade to keep us afloat for a while. Let's see how it works out. If not, I've got another option that I can use, but I'm going with this first because a lot of this is pretty familiar to me right now, so I don't have to spend time trying to figure out a few little minor things. Anyway, thanks for joining me. As I said again, this is an evening that I have decided I'm going to just warm up turning, basically practice. Um, it's been about 6 weeks or so. Yeah, so I don't know if I turned off the audio or it was live or I thought it was live. Okay, so I don't have, let me change chat to dark mode. Open. I do have some lag with this too. A lot, actually. There we go. Switch to, oh, that's what I got to go to non-moderator settings here. Some new features in or yeah, new to me features anyway in this, and yeah, there's a little bit of lag. So I don't know if this is going to be a normal thing. Yeah, no, I don't need to see that. No, 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 close. No, I don't need to see that. No, no, something. Okay. See, Twitch. There we are. I accidentally turned off the chat. So it will have to repopulate, and I'm just going to get started. So I've got this piece of cherry. A little bit earlier, I was like, this might be maple, but it's not. It's actually cherry. It is an offcut of a crotch piece. So I've got some really nice Oh, I don't know if that light is actually helping much here. Let's try that. Oh man, I got to do something about this adaptive brightness. So when I turn that light off, and my screen went a little dim there, and I thought I had turned off adaptive brightness. I may have not. Okay, so I have this piece of cherry. It was green at the beginning of winter. It's been sitting here on a drying rack, slowly freeze drying, I suppose. So it's not as green as it was when I got it. Um, but I do expect some movement, I guess. I probably should expect that. But in any case, in getting this close to the diameter that I want to work with, because I want to turn this into a salt box, and actually that means that, honestly, I probably this might be a twice turn piece. Really, it probably would be the smartest thing for me to do, since this was green. I mean, and pretty green actually. I mean, it has been drying apparently. So I do expect some movement when it goes not only thinner but into a warmer space. So maybe I should do a twice turn piece and then allow it to dry. But in any case, looking at this, I see that I'm into the figure here on this side of the crotch. And I'm just starting to get into the figure here. So what I want to do is I want to move this closer to the center so that this comes out a little bit and into the path of where I'm going to cut. So Test. There we go. Wow. Took me a minute. Sorry about that, folks. I lost audio, and I'm not sure. It could be the new. Could be the. It very definitely could be me learning Linux here, and or I don't know. I'm not really sure. Anyway, I apologize. I will be paying attention to that as well. So I think I actually had also a microphone die on me, but it's one I used earlier for a couple hours while I was streaming earlier. So back to this guy. I don't know how much audio I lost. Sorry about that. So I want to keep as much of this as possible. I got to move it inward so that this side comes out and I can take some more off here. So I think I'm just going to go, well, I've got like 5 inches to play with, and I don't need that much for a salt box. So I'm still going to be a little conservative. I will go quarter of an inch there. I really think 3/8 will be just fine, but let's try this. I'll see how it looks, and within a couple of turns, I should know if I want to move it right away. Okay. So let's start with that. So since I have a smaller face, well, actually the faces are about the same size, aren't they? It's not really going to matter a whole lot. But I have more mass closer to this tenon than I do here, so I'm going to put that on this end. There we go. That should be good enough. So let's bring this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about a little bit better here. So this is where it's coming closest to my tool rest right here, and I wonder if a side view, maybe, so it's coming closest to the tool rest right here. So if I take my ruler, I rotate this dude to the furthest point, which should be right there. There's a 1/2 inch difference between here and there, just off of that quarter of an inch. So let's go back to where is it closest? Right there. So right there, I'm measuring basically a 1/16 of an inch away from this top hardened steel bar. I've got just that much space between here and the timber. And as I rotate this guy, bring it all the way to that side, I now have a 1/2 inch plus a 1/16. So, I mean 9/16, but that distance hasn't changed. So I've got 1/2 inch. So that quarter of an inch movement, you have to double that. when you're taking those kinds of movements into account when you're going a multi-center turning. So that means I'll be able to remove 1/2 inch of material here, and it will wind up being about 1/4 inch material off the sides, and this shouldn't really be touched. So I brought myself a sharp tool. Make sure everything is groovy and kosher, because it's never fun, really, when things come flying out of the lathe. What am I turning at? Oh, yeah, right. I think I will want to move this way. Let's not get too close. There we go. So that's essentially 1/8 of an inch I just took off. That's a little bit. Let's see. I'm going for basically. There we go. So that should be about 1/4 inch, and it kind of leaves me about 1/4 inch in a ghost. But you can see now this is starting to get a wider and wider curve, and as I get that rest of that 1/2 inch this way, it'll begin to shave off that 1/4 inch on these sides, and this is now my new center. So I've accomplished a couple of things. I've moved. I've been able. I'm trying to preserve as much of this as possible, and remove mass because this is too big for the job that I want to give it. So yeah, and so that means I'm changing the center and getting everything set up. And it is taking away some of that split. Just a little bit more to go. But some of that split wood. So you see now I still have my pencil line. I haven't been hitting that yet. I've got just a little bit more to go, but you see the new tool marks are coming up to about there, right about there. So I don't have very much to go. And then I'll reevaluate and see. I suspect, though, that I'm going to wind up probably moving again. So hopefully that didn't, but okay, cool. I was thinking it may have just taken, I did right there just take off part of the line. So I'm right at that diameter now. Okay. Now, yeah, I need to, well, I mean, we're almost round. It doesn't look like it because the tenon is no longer round, or the tenon is round, but it's off center. So it doesn't look like it's actually round when you're looking in there, but this is round. So let's take it off and reevaluate. I've got to loosen that. Oh, yeah, that's right. I can do that. Got my heater running. And yeah, it seems to be pretty fuel efficient, but it does struggle, the colder it gets. And, to be fair, yeah, it's not the unit, it's the way things are set up. I've basically got a hothouse out of plastic with a hole in the center so it doesn't get too hot in here, but that limits what this guy can actually do. So it's not the fault of the equipment at all. Okay. So this should be about 4 inches now. 4.5. Oh, that's right. I only took half an inch off. 4.5. I think. I think I'm going to take it down to 4 inches in diameter, and work from there. So time to move this guy again. Let's get this guy ready. And we'll take it down a little bit more, another 1/4 of an inch from the original center. As I say, I really wanted to take half an inch. I thought that would be probably a good, but I was conservative. It's a natural material. You really never really know if things are going to work out until they work out. Okay, that's my original center. Still got, yes, still have audio. You know, this is probably a better, maybe. Oh, although I could probably do without that now. How does that do for the video? Not much. Okay. Wait. What happened to the video? Hey, Mav, how you doing? I seem to have lost my video. Doggone it. It changed. What is going on? Oh, well, it's got to be the interface between OBS and Linux. I mean, I'm setting it up the way, there we go, that it is recommended to set this up. That's the overhead. That's the side. So the overhead one, for some reason, keeps changing on me to some kind of default whatever Dev 8 camera. Well, it changes numbers each time. It increments each time. So it's a 5, 6, 7, 8's on 8. So next time will probably be Dev 9 or something like that. But anyway, sorry about that. So actually, that did kind of help. I'm going to move this feller over a bit so that is a little bit easier to see. Okay, so I'm just going, as I said, I really wanted to go, or really thought I should just go jump at the 1/2 inch, but I did not. And just so happens that's where I need to be. So even at 4 inches, you know, if it goes out around, that I'm oversizing it because of that. Really, I probably could just leave it the way it is, but I want to get down to a smaller size. And I'm hoping that the closer in I get to all this compression wood, the more it will want to stabilize itself in a roundish shape, but I'm still kind of suspecting it's going to go a little bit square. There we go. But a little bit square is not bad. That's not a bad thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might be a pretty nice design if I can kind of pull that off, which means I might need, I don't know, I have to figure that out. I got to think about that. That might be actually a pretty okay design. So that's not quite 1/16 an inch, but I want also a little more light on this guy. Nope, on. There you go. So there we go, 1/16 of an inch. Furthest away should be right at that line, and that's 9. Ooh, that's a little bit further, man. Let's try here. All right, so that's 9/16 right there, and that is there's a 16th, 9/16. All right, so we're gonna call that good. So I'm taking it down to 4 inches. Now you can see here I've got this split. I think you can see that well, but if not, I'm going to grab. You know, I should have one right here, and I don't. Oh, and I took, and I took that one inside. I'll be right back. In front of the camera in a minute or two. Hopefully, nothing freezes and stalls and all that while I'm away. There's the red marker. I do have another marker out here, but it's got a really wide tip. And it's what I use mostly when I'm working with logs and shaving, cutting to size and whatever dimension. Okay, so this goes to here, basically. That is not a split. So that split did go away. So I've already brought this split down. I want to say at least halfway, but here I'm going to take another half an inch off of this guy. So that's going to get rid of almost all that. So I'll have a lot more material to work with than just this. In theory, I should have all this because the split's going to be like this is going to angle up towards that way, and this is going to angle out that way. And in theory, it's not on a ring where it could, potentially go at an angle following that ring. This is a cross rings, so that it's kind of like a drying split. So it opens up, and often it's these outside, because this is thinner wall, will be at a steeper angle to the surface than the bottom down in there. That opens up more slowly, because this is drying out faster. So it'll be kind of a curve, sort of. So taking off that half an inch should bring me all the way up to here, actually. Okay, I think I am in a good spot. Let's tighten that down. Well, actually, I did check this, did I not? I don't remember. Double check, it's not going to hurt anything. Okay. I suppose since this is spindle orientation, I could do that with a skew. So I want to see. So this pith is also mostly going to go away. Actually, it'll probably be completely gone once I decide where I'm splitting the lid from the base of the box. But if we're looking at this split now, really close up onto that. All right, so it's pretty much deeper there, and it's really thin right in here and not continuous. So it means that I'm getting closer to the spot where that was just starting to dry out and open up. So I think I'm doing really well. I'll probably be closer to about that depth before I lose most of that. I don't think I'll lose all of it, but most of it I will, and that was the goal. Okay, so that looks like, I think I want to turn, let me turn the other direction. I want to see how the grain is reacting to the cut. Oh, it's not that it was bad going that way, but this is a little bit cleaner, it looks like. So I'll continue going that direction. Save myself some sanding, hopefully. So I'm still going to have a little bit left to go. It's not quite round yet. And I want to see, again, I want to look at that grain and make sure that cut actually was cleaner. And yeah, even though, again, it wasn't bad that way, this is actually cleaner. So, okay. And I'm just about there. You can see where, I think, if you can, I don't know if that, let's turn this off and see if that will help. Okay, so we look at the chatoyance, the shininess of this untouched edge, and you can see where it kind of peels away here, the shadow of it. Maybe it look better up here. You can see that here. So we're working our way into round and right to where that center line that I've drawn here is going to be right at the outside. I want to be at the point where I actually hopefully don't remove any of it. I've gotten just a little bit off of it here, but I want to leave that, and then I'll just sand it from there. Well, I'll start from there and figure out my design. Oh, and I need to look at this split too. I'll look at that when I take the last cut. So figure out what I want to do. I have some ideas. We'll see if that will be a thing. Oh, well, actually, not anymore. Huh. Okay. I had an idea. Oops. To carve some hinges into it. But I have removed that material already. So as you watch my cut, I mean, I can tell I'm moving only as fast as the tool can cut. You should be able to visually see that. I can definitely feel it, right? I want to feel that drag, the right amount of drag, I suppose. But I want to have a smooth, continuous cut, and I don't want to change or vary my speed anywhere in the cut, including the mount and dismount. I want those speeds to be the same all the way through. If I come off the edge too fast, I risk splintering all that because I'm actually, we're in spindle orientation, so I'm cutting off the ends of these tubes essentially. It would be a better cut to go this way with that. And then since these tubes are pointing this way now, to cut this way. But if I track the speed of my cut and my mount, travel, and dismount are the same speed, which is only as fast as the tool can cut in the first place, I should have no issue, or very, very, very little issue. Well, I got a little bit here, just a little bit, just in this area. The rest of it is pretty clean. I think I'm right at, oh, not there. Yeah, right at the apex. I think I'm a little high still. Yep, just a little bit high right there. See, the rest of that line is gone. I just with a little bit of the line is right in the center. This is pretty much gone. This is gone, and that is so. There's just a little bit of height difference here, a little bit here, a little bit in there. So sanding. This is the point I wanted to get to. I don't need to make it any more round if I don't want to. In fact, I could sand it now and then start working on the design. Having said that, the first thing I want to do here is erase some pencil lines. And the best way sometimes to erase pencil lines is with sandpaper, some kind of abrasive. Now I see, now that I've gotten, and this kind of also helps me to locate splits. So I see there's a line, goes all the way down to there, it ends right there. So let's take a look at that one. I don't need to get any pencil lines off of this, but getting that finer dust down into that crack really highlights it. All right, so that is right. And we'll see, it's right there. All right, so let's take a difference. There's that one. So 1/2 inch difference. So basically, even though that was a drying split, I might be okay if that is where the foot is going to be. So that is where the foot is going to be. So I don't really need to do any more. I was going to mark the lines and then start working from there, but I don't need to. With the foot being tucked down in there, basically I wanted to use all of this, and I can, because that'll all be turned away to get down to the foot, which will be somewhere in there. All right, cool. Desiggin. I need a desiggin. And not only do I need a desiggin, it appears to me that I need to find or create a new yep, a new tenon. So it's time to make a new tenon. Let's move this guy over this way. Make sure all of that clears. Yep. Now I don't need. There we go. Let's get that guy out of the way. It all clears. All right, cool. Cool and groovy. Oh, I don't need these now. So I don't know who's joined me since my text-to-speech is no longer working. So I used to be able to look at. Actually, I wonder if that is actually still going to work. It's not working. I have it active though. However, it appears that it is irritating shaked GZOCM6S5 coffee stream bot, which that reminds me I need to shut that off. And Mav, hey, yes. Okay. All right. A little bit low on the tool rest. I don't think that's going to be big enough. I may have to take it all the way down. Okay, from center, we are. And I will be a little conservative because I know I need more than I think, a little bit more than I think. All right, inch and 3/16. The opening is 1 and 7/8, so that might actually work. Let's verify, because I did write that down, but let's verify. I just needed to fit in the jaws. Well, actually, I mean, there's a variety of ways I could do this. I could do a glue lock. There's a lot of ways I could do this. I'm choosing. So 1 and 7/8. Yes, that is correct. So actually, this would be a little bit more accurate. Well, that's at least 1 inch. So yeah, that'll fit in the chuck jaws just fine. Here it's showing 1 inch, and I moved it. There we go. Looks like about right. 1 and 1/16. So still, that's twice that. Still more than 1 and 7/8. It's 1/4 inch larger, in fact. That will be fine. So that will be okay. Oh man, okay, cool. Don't want to get froggy, but I'm feeling more confident here. Alright, so my diameter, let's just double check this, dude. Right now I'm at, looks like 2 1/4 essentially. So that's where I'm sticking. Easy there, cowboy. Why am I doing that? Oh, that's why. And you see, I didn't want to feel like I'm getting a little froggy and get all boasty. I'm not trying to be boasty. It just feels that was a really good cut. And so I was like, okay, maybe it's been a month and a half or so. Let's see, I want to keep that straight. That's my straight shoulder. And since this is in the compression wood, all that wood is all knotted together, so that'll be a really good hold. That's kind of a bummer there, but that little spin will go away, making the piece itself. So now I got to figure out where I want the lid and wait a minute now. So I'm taking this down. So my lid actually should probably be right in here. I'm going to say right there. because this has got to come down in. Actually, that was probably a very silly thing to say. I don't know. Maybe I should mark these splits as I see them. You know what? What's really going to be helpful, though, is if I do this. The sawdust will help me out. Okay, there's one. Is that one? As if so, I hadn't seen it before. Nope. And then this guy, of course. Already fairly easy to see. It's a tool mark. So I've got, let's see how far that guy goes. Not too bad. So this one appears to stop right about there. And just for giggles, we'll put the line there. Easy to follow the crack, actually. So tucking in the bottom. Again, this is a split, so I'm more expecting the insides of this to be basically the opposite of this curve, more or less, because as you get closer to the surface, it's going to dry faster. That means that these will spread out faster than the center will, so the center won't be necessarily as deep as you might expect, like it won't be a 90-degree angle, right? Because these lines are starting to propagate faster on the outside because they're right closer to the surface and it dries out quicker there. So I'm expecting there to be sort of a curve. Let's see, that one goes, okay, so I got about 3/8 of an inch difference between the two. So I'm not really worried about this one, as essentially in my head thinking it's just going to disappear. It may not. I may do something with the design. I don't know. Just kind of going by feel, I guess. I want to get warmed up before I start working on projects, past projects that I've got waiting in the wings, like the grinder that I had started just before winter, or at least before it got really mind-numbingly cold out here. Okay, let's see. So yeah, I think that is a good depth. That is a good thickness for a blank for a lid. So this is where I'm going to part it off. I see a bark inclusion here now. You know what? Before I do that, I'm going to throw my mask on and I'm going to run some abrasive across this just to get a little bit better look at what's happening here. Oh, cool. And I just do it under lathe power, so I wonder if that, I don't know if that'll be a better, I'll play around with the cameras and see what gives the better view. Come on. Back at the Hall of Justice. There. I would not mind having, let's see, that's got to go that way, a positive displacement mask, it has positive air displacement. blows air out through the faceplate to the out of doors, or out of faceplate rather, which I guess technically for the individual wearing the unit it would be out of doors. That a particulate mask is okay too. Eventually I'll have one of those. I'd like to have, I think, a positive displacement mask. Mav K14. Mav K14 says, "What are you making?" Well, I'm making a salt box, is the idea. I have one in the kitchen, but the finial on it broke, and the salt box really, after using it, it's a little bit too big. So I'm making a new one as a practice session since I've been away from the lathe for a while. So yeah, I've got a piece of cherry crotchwood here. Hopefully my voice isn't too muffled. I've got the, let me pull the mask up a little bit. There we go. I should probably show this on camera. This is kind of funny, I would think. So you can hear my voice. That's the wrong camera, isn't it? Yes, yes it is. So so anyway, so I'm not talking muffled through the mask. Get my keyboard back up. Now, of course, I forgot what the heck I was going to say. But anyway, it's intending it to be a salt box. I thought about adding hinges to it, which I could have at an earlier point, but I turned that material away already. So that's not. If it's going to have hinges, I'll have to add them after the fact instead of being able to carve them out of what I left behind, say on a rim. Although, as this dries, it's going to go slightly oval in shape. So that may be a better opportunity to think about hinges and how that will work. So I need to ask myself a question here. If I separate this from this, will I be able to mate them up enough for a hinge to work? What I'm thinking is I'm going to wind up, because it's going to be oval, well, actually, this is going to be more square, actually, because it's a piece of crotchwood, so it's got forces acting on four sides of it, if you will. The compression wood between the two branches is pulling itself together, and then the compression wood where the branches meet, those branches meet the trunk, that comes up through there too. So that wood wants to dry in different directions, which I find pretty interesting with crotch pieces because they tend to go square-ish. And I think that's kind of neat. So I think if I leave the body of this and it goes, let's see, if it goes square, is that there? That's not going to matter. Once it dries, it won't be square anymore once I turn it around. So I'm just thinking about then having a rim around it. Once it turns oval or square-ish or whatever, I wonder how much rim I'll get out of that I could actually turn into a hinge. But you know what? It's worth exploring. I can figure that out. So, or I can add one later, maybe. Maybe I don't need one later. So let's hit this with some abrasive. Hopefully that answered your question, Mav. I kind of rambled a little bit, but yeah, it's intended to be a salt box at the end. Right now, this is, I don't know. I don't have a timestamp on my chat. Why not? Huh. There used to be timestamps on my chat. I might have not set something up right. Anyway, I don't know how far back You joined the broadcast. Sorry, don't remember back that far because I've had a lot of this going on. So, this is a piece of cherry crotchwood, right? I thought could be maple, but it's definitely cherry. It's spalting. It's in the spalting process. So all these little white spots are bleached out timber from the fungal attack on the timber. I've got some black marks, I've got some black lines here and there. So it's definitely had started the spalting process, but it was green, um, not sopping wet green, but pretty green at the beginning of winter. And I cut everything up before winter hit, put it on a drying rack, and it's been in the garage on the rack ever since. So it's kind of sort of freeze dried. So it's not as green, although it's definitely got some water in it. So I know it's going to move some. So I'm trying to take that into consideration when I'm trying to get a design or an idea of how I want it to look, or what even is going to happen. And it may dry in such a way that I like the way it is, at least here, and then I can turn a foot or a bottom in some fashion that won't detract from that. That could work too. I want my thin parting tool because I don't have tons of material to work with here. And I need, well, this one will work, skew. But before that, mask goes down. Glasses go on, and we're going to apply some abrasive to this dude. So cutting this way resulted in a better surface, so I'm going to sand that way. I probably had a little bit more pressure on there than I really needed. Just wanted to clean the surface up some. I think okay, am I filling in any cracks here? That's kind of cool. So there's a little bit, there's some feathering here. Some of it is kind of bleached and some of it isn't. Right on the outside of this really nice figure there. And then we have the striations from the curl in the wood. That's bleached out. That looks pretty cool. Still not as much figure as I was hoping on this side. Definitely has some coloration. There's a little bit, but that's okay. That's a beautiful figure here. All right. So let's continue on. I want to essentially, I guess, kind of finish sand. And the reason for that is that once it changes shape, it's going to be a lot more difficult to sand because it won't have a flat, smooth surface anymore. It'll be all puckered, especially in here. So I want to do that now, just in case. I like the way that the wood dries, and I want to keep that general shape for the body. I'm still going to separate this guy, so I expect that it's going to warp a little bit different, even though it's also in spindle orientation. It's going to dry out a lot faster. So maybe I'll leave these dry out here for a little while first. Once they're apart, let them normalize before taking them maybe into the basement where it's cooler. I don't want this wood to destroy itself. It is looking really pretty. Really nice, interesting figure in it. Okay, so time to get a little bit more, or rather fresh abrasive, because I really do want to get that essentially finished surface. Okay. And I'm just using my direct sander as a friction sander. Because, well, really the bottom line is I'm too lazy and I don't want to go turn on the compressor, but I also don't want to listen to it, so there's that. Okay, so we clearly have spalting going on in here inside this figure, and some down here too. That's really nice. It's not like in-your-face spalting, but there's some dark black lines and dots. There is some bleaching, but I think in general that kind of just highlights what's happening, especially right in here. So that is almost. Let me see. I think I'll go let's just see what happens when I go the other direction. Well, looks like I'm going to turn the compressor on after all. So be it. Hey, it's warm enough for the compressor to run. That's awesome. That is a good thing. Let's see. Maybe I'll go. Okay, I'm going to go down a grit here. Go that route first while the compressor is filling its tank. And let's go ahead and slow it down. Just enough pressure against the material to keep it in contact. I'm not trying to press really super hard. Let's try this way. I don't need to create more sanding lines for myself. I have to clean up. Just trying to get this area cleaned up, which is why I started the compressor, thinking I probably would need to use that, but maybe not. You got to keep in mind too, I guess I should say, I've got one of these yellow interface pads, and there's several different kinds, different colors. And I think that denotes what their softness level is, and this is more of a medium. So I don't really need to push really hard against it, and I really don't want to anyway with a coarser grit than what I started with, because I don't want to dig any lines in there and have to keep working it. Just a nice light even pressure to keep this against the material, and friction turning is all I need. And I mean, it might take a little bit longer, maybe, I don't know, I haven't timed it. Then a comparison between finessing the sandpaper and really, and then just general going after it, which is the same as finessing the tools versus just going after it, in my opinion. So the more I can finesse the things, the less work I actually have to do. This is not hard on the body. Because I'm not leaning into it, it's just enough contact to keep it against the material. And honestly, I would do this with any grit. What the difference would be the interface pad. A softer pad might need a little bit more force. Well, actually, no. A softer pad, you don't want to add more force because it'll just start chewing itself apart. It's got less dense foam. So we'll use those for like a really high grit, like 2,000, 1,000, 1,500, maybe 800 possibly. Probably not. And I would use the orange pads for something like that. At least where I get them from Vince's Wooden Wonders. And this one is pretty, for me anyway, a really, really good general density foam backer pad. These are the ones I use the most, are the yellow ones. And there's a little bit of a learning curve with backup pads, but it's not so terrible, especially remembering that wood turning honestly is mostly finesse. And it's whatever English you put on that finesse as an individual turner that's going to, it's not good enough anymore. That's another thing I will throw away if it doesn't feel or look right or it's not doing the job. I'll throw it away pretty quickly. I want to keep sharp sandpaper in contact with my whatever material I'm working on as much as possible and as long as possible. So that PSA. Got just a little bit more to go. I may not have needed the compressor, but at least it's ready to go. And same thing with the sandpaper. I'm not varying the speed. My mount, travel, and dismount are all essentially the same speed. I think, trying to tell if that's actually part of the spalting that's going on. It may be part of the spalting that's going on and I'm trying to sand it away. But I am skeptical. Because it's like I can kind of see ghosted lines. Oh well, you know what? I've got the compressor going or on, so here we go. This is what I turned it on for. Let's tighten that down. Okay, so I want to go downhill to the fibers with the sanding as well. We're in spindle orientation, and this is a flat side, so I want to take it one way or the other, doesn't really matter. I want to take it off the edge, and I want to go not with the grain, but kind of perpendicular to it, so that I'm not digging into the grain and creating problems there. I'm going perpendicular to it. I can't dig into a ring accidentally. At least I haven't. Well, you know, I haven't tried. But this seems to be pretty successful to me. Though. Never happened. Nope. Well, anything that is a tool mark, and this includes abrasive. Abrasive is a tool. Anything that's got a tool mark, or in this case, surface would be different, where it wasn't sanded well enough. That would have been different than the rest of it, so it would have accepted the whatever stain or surface prep I want to put on it a lot more readily than, or a lot differently than the sanded. So I want my surface to be the same, or as close to the same as I can get all the way around, so that anything that penetrates the surface will penetrate evenly rather than leaving blotchy spots. It's the same as in flat work. It's no different. So that's what I'm working on right now. It may be, well, it's not, to me, it's not overkill, because this is my finished sanding for this piece, to see what it will look like when it's dry. I'm expecting more of an oval shape, but since I don't have a lot of figure here, I'm thinking it's probably going to go a little bit more triangular. But we'll see. I'm really close to the center of that crotch, or that piece of crotch wood. So we'll see. I just don't see as much out here as I do on the opposite side. But I want to err, it's a little bit bigger piece than I think I will need later on down the road, so it can do its drying process, and then I can true it up later. If I want to. If I like how it dries, I'm going to leave the outside the way it is, and I'll true up the inside and turn a foot. We'll see. And now I'm sanding just a little bit lighter. Just want to get a nice surface sanding. I want it all to be as close to the same as I can get. Okay, so now I think I'm at the point where I'm actually working with variations in the actual timber and not like punky spots or places that aren't sanded well. So it's all pretty contiguously the same, it looks like. Okay, that looks really, really clean. I'm going to leave it there. So let's load up this guy. And I can turn off that compressor in a few moments. Blow off the computer. I got sawdust all over the laptop there. Fortunately, the keyboard and everything, air intake is kind of covered, but a breathable cover. No dust, though. Okay, I'm going to turn off the compressor real quick, leaving my mask on for a few until the sawdust calms down. Which it's kind of quick. Alrighty. So I need this. I don't know how well that shows up. Let's see. Let's go to a different camera here. Damn, let's turn that off. This off. You know, that doesn't show up super well. At least not from this angle. At least as far as I can tell, y'all might have a better view than I can see with this tiny, essentially 3x4 inset screen that I get to look at. Okay. I am looking for a pencil right there. So looking at this, where I want to separate the lid and the body, I had it originally about right there. And I think I'll take it just a little bit higher than that. Maybe not. Maybe this is where, this is the waste material where I'm going to part it off. Yeah, that'll work. Since I'm using a thinner parting tool. Oh, really? Pardon me for a sec, I think. Yep, I had dust all over the camera. All right. See, there is a split right there. And there's one. But they don't go very deep. Shit. All right, where does this line go? So the ends there, not quite. I want to go to where it ends. This one appears to end right there. This one appears to end right there, which is quite a bit lower. How does that look? Goes right across my bark inclusion, which may not be a bad thing, but it stops the split on this piece and isolates it to here. And that, I think, since it's going to be separate, I can turn it separate, and I can take that down and get rid of those splits. Ooh, yeah, I'll have to do something about that tenon, won't I? So let's do that first. All right, glasses. Safety glasses, very important. should work. Just to be sure, though, I should measure that. 2 and almost 1/8, so we are right in there. Hope I didn't goof that up. I did not. Okay. So now, oh, I can take the mask off now. And put that guy away. Doing not bad. So I understand that Twitch, at least to me anyway, this is new, has some newer features. Oh yeah, that's gotta go up there like that. That will allow me, say, to play an ad if I have to walk away. If I'm not in camera, instead of playing ads like throughout the broadcast and interrupting. So I'm going to start looking into that, and that will be the way I do ads, because there are times I gotta walk away, go inside, whatever, grab something. So I'm always trying to figure out like how. I mean, I'm not trying to get rich off this, right? You're not going to anyway, as far as I can determine. It's not why I'm doing it. But definitely making a little bit of money based on ads. But I just don't want to, because I guess fucking ads everywhere. But at least this is not like, you gotta, you want to open the app, you gotta play an ad or whatever. It's not like that, but still, I want to limit the times that, I gotta meet my obligations with Twitch and play ads. So it would make more sense if they have that feature now available. I'm looking for a pencil sharpener. I think it's over by the bench where I probably left it last time. Yes, there it is. So did not even need to walk away. But we're inundated with ads everywhere. And while it is a way to, and in my mind, a little bit more upfront about paying the bills of running, a website like this and letting people stream and all that groovy stuff. Let's see, I needed to go down to here. And then twice that will be something like that. How does that look? Can I see it? Yes. Oh, I know what the other reason was. I walked over to get the other skew. This is not a good grind, and I don't want to use that for this purpose. I think that would be maybe not a smart thing to do. So we'll take this guy. It should have broken the surface all the way around. Ooh, not quite there though. Interesting. It was an illusion, but it's definitely cut now. Alrighty. So that way, now I've got those splits, those drying cracks, now isolated to that part right there, so that as this dries, it can do whatever it's going to do. I'm going to wind up, most likely, changing the shape of this lid anyway, possibly, maybe. So, if I separate them, I can still turn that away, maybe enough to get rid of those splits, and it will be okay if it's smaller since it's going to fit on the top. Anyhow, that is my theory. Let's see, where did my little guy go? There we are. So I am too far below. Might be too high now. Just a bit. Another thing is important to know about parting tools is they work best when they're not pointed up. That's more of a catch situation. You want to have them cutting slightly below center at the wherever that cut is happening on whatever shape parting tool you have. That way, less chance of it getting bound up, and definitely very much smaller chance. I don't even think a catch can happen, to be honest. So it's the same thing as like those coring tools, coring units that people have. You know, they do. It's basically a parting tool, right? But they're pointed up, not doing. It's always a catch happening instead of an actual parting cut. Can't go super deep with that one since it's short, but I've got, or had anyway. I guess I need to clean that up. That's a drag. It must have come off the line somehow. And I got some tear out there. So, I did put it away, didn't I? I should not have put away my skew. We are going to solve that issue right now. I don't know if I've got it all or not. Not quite. And now that I actually have a wider coast, wider than I was going for. Whoa, man, I just found some more cherry that smells like witch hazel. It smells like witch hazel. I wonder if that's a part of the decaying process. I've only ever smelled that from another tree that was not, it was an ornamental cherry tree. So I figured it was because it was slightly different, still a cherry tree, but ornamental. That, oh, now I can work on this. That was why. But this is not an ornamental, this is not timber from an ornamental tree. So I think that kills that theory. Perhaps, maybe. Okay, let's work this guy now. Get rid of the splits if we can. May not matter. I mean, there's figure in there, and it may hold itself together, but want to have as successful a drying process as I can manage. Yeah, it's still in there. Well, looks like they're almost gone. I didn't really have to take off a whole lot of material, so that's nice. Okay, they're gone. Sweet! Yeah, I should do that on this also. I want to chamfer the edges, round them over a little bit. To make that corner not the thinnest part anymore. It will still dry out a little bit quicker because it's closer to the surface and it's got two edges. I mean, it's got all the fibers are going this way. It's kind of protected on this side, but it's going to dry out more on the edges or the ends. Um, but I think I've got the well, in any case, I want to round over the edges so that as it dries, those that it's here, it's a very sharp point, so it's going to dry out a lot faster than like a rounded edge. There's some meat underneath that rounded curved edge to slow down the drying process a little bit. Won't dry as fast. Still quicker than below it or on the surface out here, or maybe even on the surface out here. Although again, this is where the fibers are pointing. Doing my best to control as much of that as possible, cracking and splitting and stuff like that. And that's one way to help mitigate some of that. Just around these edges over before you put them away to dry. So they're not sharp anymore. All right, cool. I'm at the point now where I can actually saw that off. got a 10 in here and a 10 in here. I can get rid of this too, which I want to because I want the bottom to dry evenly. With that 10 in there, it won't dry evenly, and when I come back to this, I'm going to end up using this 10 in anyway at some point. Well, I'll have to true it up probably, um, but I don't need this 10 in to do that, and that will slow down the drying process. In the center, probably, I mean, there's a possibility that it would be enough of an uneven drying process that it would stay wet there, this would dry out, and it might try to come apart. So let's just get rid of that wood. I'm going to saw that off, and then I'll do a little bit of hollowing in here so we have an even wall thickness. This is all even already, except for that tenon, but it doesn't add a lot, so I'm not super concerned about that. We'll just let that dry as it is. I will probably hit the edges with some abrasive anyway, just to make sure that I get rid of any kind of like tear out issue, which there's a little bit right there. And that is a result of me approaching the grain with the spindle gouge and a scraping. Just took all that out. Okay. So we're on to the saw. Yes, we're on to the saw. Probably could have cut that tenon a little bit smaller in diameter, but did not even think about it till this now. And, sawing this with a fine-tooth saw, though, I can definitely tell this has still got some water in it. Okay. Come all the way through. Nope. I think that got all the way through. Not quite, almost. There. So a couple days drying, man. I might be able to have this at the turning meeting Saturday, maybe. Okay, this guy's gonna come out. So going to remove the live center. All right, now we're ready to do this part. Whoopsie daisy. Smooth enough that it's really slick. Okay. Oh, yes, well. Okay, that took care of that tear out pretty quick. Well, hopefully that won't be too much of an issue there, but it looks like I may not have gotten the splits all the way. I did not. You know what? I'm going to go back to that because I want those gone. I don't want it to tear itself apart during the drying process. And I still have plenty of timber here to make a lid that will fit, so I'm okay with that. Hey, you might want to tighten down your tool rest there, Dave. They were right in here. Now I don't see them. Oh, sweet, dude. Okay, man. I'm curious now. Let's see what we got for. I'll also be curious. I'm really gonna have to watch this. It's interesting. Why that is? It is the Tuesday. Is it not? And looks like there is. I don't know who's on here. So thanks to all of you that have joined this evening. I appreciate it. Always nice to have a little bit of company. All right. Of course, I do want my channel to become at least somewhat popular. Have an audience, that would be one of the reasons I started this thing. Let's see, I believe tourist there. Oh, almost had it. There we go. Oh, you can't see that. Let's try that. So I don't have a little raised. My wings are straight. I don't have a little hump on there. David Ellsworth, R.I.P. That was he kept his tools that way. He used that little hump to go in and get a really nice, clean, sheer cut. I did the same thing without the hump. I just moved the tool up into that position, getting some really nice, fine shavings and a really nice surface. That's really nice. I like it. So I'm cutting on the upper wing. These are the shavings that are coming out. And that's the surface that's left behind. That's beautiful. So that can dry and do its thing. I do want to hit this edge though. So that can dry, do its thing, change its shape, whatever. All of the splits are gone. So this one should survive. We'll see what shape it brings us when it is all said and done, which I think will be probably just a couple of days. Although, well, yeah, I think I might just take these straight away inside. So I think in general, salt boxes have straight sides and flat bottoms. But I think I want to do a little bit more of a bowl shape, just so that as the salt is being used, it tends to collect more in the very bottom. I definitely want to have a size that I can at least get some fingers in there to pinch the salt out. So this is a pretty good size for that. Even having to take away some for the change in shape of the piece as it dries. Oh, I didn't look at that. I should probably do something about that. Well, yeah, but then I'll lose my... But maybe not. Okay, let's see. I'm like having conversation in my head. Sorry, there's a split down here. Or is that a pencil mark? Oh, no, that's the pencil mark for having to move the center. Ah, okay. So there's no worries about there being a split there. I was thinking I'm going to have to flip this around and cut that off now because I don't want that being a split to dry in this piece. That might be a disaster waiting to happen. So I don't think that's going to be an issue with that guy. it's nice to be able to actually hear the cut as it happens. It's only really been recently with the last repair and the updated parts. Um, that now I can actually hear the cut happen on the steel with this machine, so it's kind of nice. Why is that catching? Okay, let's move that guy's side. This is the top. Let's move him over there. It still feels, even though it's cherry, it still has a little weight to it, and I can feel the coolness of the moisture that's in it. So it's definitely going to dry. Okay. I think I will take this down a little bit more. Okay, how do I want this? I don't want it. I just want to leave an even wall thickness, really. It might be a little bit thicker down here, but that's okay. So I also think that how thick I leave it is going to play a part. Well, I know it's going to play a part in the drying time, but I think it might also play a part in how this thing changes its shape as it dries. So if I leave this wall a little bit thicker, I'm definitely going to take the inside down a little bit more, but leaving this wall a little bit thicker means it won't move as much as I'm thinking as it would if I left it thinner. And I don't want to leave it too, I don't want to make it too thin because I still have to fit a lid on there. Really what I'm most concerned about is just the drying process. And then I can deal with any shape change or whatever later. work out well. Trying to overextend that tool, wrong tool for the job. Just a wee bit low for that tool. Now it's a little too high. There we go. So let's round this edge over. Okay, that's pretty even, and that bottom will be even once it's actually turned to size and shape. I have plenty of material here now. I can do a lot with this lid. So it's time just to let it dry. That's it. And as a twice turned piece, that's going to be really, 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 really nice. That figure on there. Be a nice little salt pot. All right, let's take that inside. Or maybe I'll take it inside in a bit since I don't know exactly where I'm going to set it. Oh, yes, I do now. Okay, so that was my practice for the evening. That worked out really well. I would like to have gone a little bit further with detail, but we need to allow the piece to dry naturally and then do whatever after that. I am hoping that I'm not. I'm guessing. We'll see. It's a gamble that's worth taking as far as I'm concerned. Waiting to see how the piece dries. I'm hoping that it's more of a square shape, as I'm expecting, as I normally get out of crotch pieces. But sometimes, if part of the crotch or the compression wood is missing, it'll go a little bit more triangular. Again, it's a broad, you'll have a triangular-ish shape, still kind of round, almost maybe like an egg shape. That's still kind of triangular. As far as the square, it's loosely a square. You can definitely see four corners, if you will. And that's usually what I get out of the cross pieces, and that's kind of what I shoot for. I kind of think that's neat to work with what the wood already brings to the table, right? Yeah. So, having said that, Mav K14 says, nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So this evening, I think I'm going to wrap it up early. I'll be back again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Looks like I'm going to be jumping right back onto the grinder, the grinder project. So I hope to see you tomorrow evening, 8 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for joining me this evening. Thanks for the subs and the follows. I got a couple of new followers this evening, so that's pretty cool. I appreciate that. Every little bit of support helps. I'm really close to The next level of, I think it's 130 followers I got to have. I'm almost there, and that's kind of exciting. So it's nice to see that people, actually are finding value in it, and that helps make it worthwhile. I'm going to go on to do it anyway. I mean, the whole probably most of the first year, maybe at least the first 6 months. Broadcasting, I didn't have very many viewers, but I wasn't doing it to pick up viewers and try to get rich and all that. I'm trying to reach as many people as I can. This is an outlet for me. I do teach, but this is another way for me to get out in front of people and polish those skills, right? And including my own turning skills. So, and then hopefully, as we're going along and I'm explaining the techniques that I'm using, the tools I'm using, how I'm using them, those kind of things, because this is also an educational channel, that helps turners like yourself out there improve their turning skills. And that's what this is all about. It's all about improving turning skills, and the only way really you can do that is to practice. The things that I do are as a result of years of practice. I'm not, a 50-year turner or whatever. There's a few out there. I'm not a production turner, not a full-time production turner. I do some production work, but I'm mostly a freelance turner, I guess you could say. I like making art pieces. I like making artwork. I like turning bowls. I just like turning, and it's nice to be able to make my own handles for anything. Walking sticks. I mean, pretty much anything I throw on a lathe. I want to get into making spindles and stuff like that for weaving and spinning. And I think those would be fascinating. And I know that there's techniques to that, because the pieces have to be balanced right to turn as they should. So there's a lot of things to learn out there. There's just a ton of stuff in the wood turning world to learn. And I know I'm only scratching the surface, but my tool handling skills are at a high level. They are, and that's as a result of practice. It's the only way you're going to get there. So that's why I say that's the secret sauce. That's it. There is no other secret to wood turning other than you got to get out there and practice. So I hope that this broadcast inspires people to, if not get started, if they're brand new turners, maybe get out to their shop and turn a little bit. I know it may be like a situation like mine, where for 6 weeks it's just too damn cold to be out here and turn. When you can't feel your fingers and your feet, it's not safe. So I've been looking forward to being able to get back out here and turn some stuff, because I really enjoy it. It is a meditative practice, but I just really enjoy it. I have a really, really good time. I get to tune a lot of shit out too sometimes, but in general, I just really enjoy it, and I hope that shows through as well. So, having said that, thank you again for joining me and for the support. I hope to see you again tomorrow night. I hope you all stay friendly. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening this evening, and I hope to see you again tomorrow night. Good night.